So I told my team, let's cut right to the chase. Where did my words hurt Mr. Richer? Show me on this doll where my words hurt you. Let's go right to the damages part.
It doesn't take much imagination to foresee the possibility that of your millions of followers, when you tell them that this man, Stephen Richer, has committed the most heinous crimes against our democracy, it doesn't take much imagination that one of your followers, two of your followers, might do something very extreme based off of that. So in recent months, we've had 2 people arrested for threats to me. I get on a daily basis messages about why I should be in Gitmo, why I should be in jail. And like I said, this needs to stop. That's why we filed this lawsuit. It is a bit rich, as Jared mentioned, that this is coming from somebody who said she had all the evidence and she was going to fight to the bitter end. Well, she just put up the white flag. She doesn't have any evidence. And while she's lying about me, she is lying to Arizonans, some Arizonans who have gone to jail.
I know the headline says forfeit, but with MAGA Republicans like Kari Lake, they can never truly admit defeat.
It is a political witch hunt, and everyone knows it. By participating in this lawsuit, it would only serve to legitimize this perversion of our legal system and allow bad actors to interfere in our upcoming election. So I won't be taking part.
Kari Lake's major loss in court followed her stinging defeat in her race to become the next Arizona governor in 2022 against Democrat Katie Hobbs. Instead of conceding, she took a page out of Trump's playbook.
This is a fraud on the American public. This is an embarrassment to our country. We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election.
And said the election was stolen from her.
For 2 years, I've been sounding the alarm about our broken election system here in Arizona. And this past week has confirmed everything we've been saying. Rest assured, I have assembled the best and brightest legal team, and we are exploring every avenue to correct the many wrongs that have been done this past week. I'm doing everything in my power to right these wrongs. And I can promise you one thing. This fight to save our republic has just begun.
She blamed her loss on fellow Republican Stephen Richer, the Maricopa County recorder, saying he stuffed the ballot boxes with 300,000 votes.
We know that we showed up in droves, and we know that they intentionally sabotaged Election Day. So we're going to fight to get the rightful duly elected governor, myself, into office. We won our election. I know that my opponent, who is sitting in the governor's office, is a fraud, and we are fighting that in the courts. And so I really understand what President Trump is up against, because they did the same thing to him in 2020. We cannot have the election stand. The judge should declare me the rightful winner. I am the rightful winner. And we should move on and reclaim our government, our state government. It's been hijacked and stolen by a bunch of people who know this election was fraudulent. The people already know who the legitimate governor is, and you're looking at her, Steve.
Now, she lost the election. She did win the best webcam in all of politics competition years running. It is the best.
Let's just break this down. Maricopa County is by far the largest county in Arizona. 62% of all residents of the state live in this county. It is the 4th most populous county in the country. It historically has voted Republican. Biden was the first Democratic president to win the county in 72 years. So, of course, Kari Lake had her sights on it. And poor Stephen Richer happened to be a public servant whose job description included a role in the elections.
Lake laid the blame for ballot printer issues on the recorder. She also said Richer inserted more than 300,000 invalid ballots to the Maricopa County vote count in an effort to steal the election. The courts ruled those charges were unfounded, but Richer says that hasn't stopped the threats against him.
I've received tens of thousands of messages to the effect of, "You're a traitor, you should hang." Whenever Ms. Lake posts something, it usually triggers quite a few of those direct messages.
In his defamation lawsuit against Lake, Richer claims he and his family have been the targets of threats of violence, even death. Their lives turned upside down.
As the recorder of Maricopa County, he wasn't even in that big of a role regarding the elections. He was in charge of maintaining the voter files of most of the state of Arizona, as well as recording other documents, just as deeds to people's homes, and his office did help the Maricopa County Election Department in planning the elections. Despite this role not even being that large of a role, you can see why she had her claim that he stuffed ballot boxes, 300,000 of them to be exact, could have been defamatory. Never mind the actual facts regarding her election that she lost because thousands of Republicans in Maricopa County who voted for down-the-ballot Republicans chose to vote for Democrat Katie Hobbs for governor.
Dina, major results here. Good morning.
Good morning, Tony. Well, Lake had said she would accept the results of the election if, in her words, voting was fair, honest, and transparent. But in a tweet after multiple news organizations projected her loss, Lake said, quote, "Arizonans know BS when they see it." As the vote count continued throughout the week, Lake complained without evidence that Arizona officials had botched and slow-rolled the results, an accusation the Republican elections chief in Maricopa County called offensive. Now, Lake needed a strong showing with late-counted ballots in highly populated counties like Maricopa, but the numbers favored Hobbs.
Kari Lake is learning, just like Donald Trump before her, that lying to the public may not have political consequences in MAGA world, but they certainly have consequences in the court of law. She has conceded in court that her lies were defamatory. Now, the only issue is how much in damages she will owe as the result of her lies. Sound familiar? Let's get this straight. It's actually fairly difficult for a public figure, including someone like Stephen Richer, to win a defamation case because a public figure has to prove, one, not only that the statement was false, but that it was a statement of fact and not opinion, and because they're a public figure, they have to prove actual malice, which means that the person who made this statement either knew it was a lie or was so reckless to the truth. That standard is so high that before the Trump era, it was almost unheard of to successfully win a defamation suit if you were a public figure. Here, not only did Stephen Richer win, he did it on the motions before even going to trial because the facts were not in dispute. And the facts were so bad that not even Kari Lake thought she could spin those facts in front of a jury. Now the only question is, how much will she pay him? A huge win for Stephen Richer and a huge win for the truth.
She appears to be the only one who pulled a big lie of her own, right? And insisted she was the real winner, actually. She did this so often, in fact, that she got herself sued by an elections official in Arizona. Republican Stephen Richer, the Maricopa County recorder who oversaw Lake's loss, again, a Republican, took her to court over her repeated false claims that Richer rigged the election against her. He sued her for defamation in June last year, and Lake has been stalling on the case ever since until now. She just filed a motion for default judgment, which essentially means she is not contesting her liability. Because as we have seen time and time again when it comes to lies about election fraud, you can't defend the indefensible.
But again, like her mentor, Donald Trump, Kari Lake took her loss, lied about it, and then used that attention to not go away. Will Arizona ever be rid of Kari Lake? She is now running for the empty Senate seat left open by Senator Kristen Sinema against Democrat Ruben Galego. You may remember Congressman Galego. He made a name for himself during the January 6th insurrection for the exact opposite reasons of Kari Lake and Donald Trump.
Debate turned into destruction.
USA! USA!
When some President Trump loyalists decided protesting outside was not good enough for them and decided to breach the Capitol, heading toward the House and Senate floors.
I don't know what else to call them, but the terrorists basically came and started pounding on the doors and pushing their way in.
With glass shattering, an angry mob trying to break down the doors. Arizona Representative Ruben Gallego says he instantly switched from Representative Gallego to Corporal Gallego. His military training kicked in as he stood on top of a chair, yelling out instructions to everyone in the room, guiding them to nearest exits, helping some of his frightened colleagues put on gas masks.
They're very simple masks, but the most important thing is a lot of people were already hyperventilating. And if they had put that mask on while hyperventilating, they could have, harmed themselves.
He was among the last to evacuate the House floor. Representative Gallego receiving thanks today from grateful members of the national media whom he shielded in his office after they were turned away from other safe zones in the U.S. Capitol, told no press allowed. Gallego took them in.
On the floor during the insurrection, he used his Iraq War combat training to help his fellow House members, help them put on their gas masks, help them remain calm and prepare to fight. He stood on a chair and issued instructions about how to get to the exit and evacuate his hundreds of fellow colleagues. He did this, and now he is the only person standing between Kari Lake and Arizonians, Kari Lake and the Senate, Kari Lake and our democracy.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.